Hits and Crits.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the first Hits and Crits video from your channel, straight out of the north of Germany for CMONs, A Song of Ice and Fire. Since this is our first video, I want to give a big shout out to our main sponsor, Trading Goblin Games World, which was a great partner for us in the past, and we're so grateful to keep them on board now with the new brand. And thanks, Trading Goblin, for all the trust and the support. Now, not only is this the first Hits and Crits video we're doing, but a very special one too, since we are, or while we are creating our final assets for the future battle reports and stuff we will do, we wanna speed up some time for you to wait. So I asked Randall from Imperial Minis to step onto the channel and collaborate with us on the new season, or the latest season 3 update, and we can just talk about it a little. So Randall, we're extremely happy to have you, to cooperate with you on this. And how about you tell everyone how we are planning to do this?
Sure. Thanks, Chris. I'm super excited to join you here and be on your inaugural first video. So congratulations also on the channel.
Thanks.
I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. And for this series, we're going to be focusing on all the changes. Well, not all the changes, the most important and impactful or interesting changes of the Season 3 update. And we're going to be going faction by faction in this video series, just focusing on the key takeaways, the kind of high level, what changed, what you need to know. We're not going to pull up the change log and go item by item. And the way this series is going to work, we're going to kind of ping pong between our two channels. So the first video is going to be on Hits and Crits, and then the next video will be on Imperial Minis, and we'll kind of trade back and forth a bit as this video series goes on.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah, that's about it. We want to be really concise and brief about it. So let's just jump right into it. So let's start with the NCUs, Randall. That was one key thing for me. Like in the past, I tried the King in the North, Robb Stark NCU quite some time, but it was 5 points, so it was pretty an invest in your army, and it didn't really work out well. So for me, those two NCUs going down a point, so Robb Stark and added stock going from 6 to 5 and from 5 to 4, really makes it different in my book, because now with this new Robb Stark NCU, for 4 points, you can really build some really cool cav lists, especially cav lists, and having those for 7 points, having 2 activations like his Grey Wind and him on the tactics board. For me, it can be quite amazing. Not only because of the 2 activations, but also you can bring a Tully Cav right in like a buffed outflank, right? It's kind of a buffed outflank, giving them panicked and vulnerable even. So for me, in the new Cav list, especially with the new Tully Cav, that can be quite devastating. So that's one key change for me, having Robb Stark going down from 5 to 4.
Yeah, and points changes in general are some of the biggest changes that can be made in an update. And NCUs especially, look at a couple of patches ago, we had what's his name, Corrin, go from 6 points to 5 points.
6 to 5.
And people never really used him at 6, but now he's just absolutely everywhere. Same thing in this update. Varys went from 5 to 4, which we'll probably talk about in another video, and now he's seeing a ton of play. So taking these guys down a point is big. Robb looks like a lot of fun. I don't know if he's going to compete for,
on a high level.
A high level. I mean, because there's a lot of really competitive Stark NCUs out there, but he is definitely a really fun look, like a really fun choice now, I think. Especially since he does have that kind of super outflank where you can lay out your whole army and then decide which one you're going to put in reserve to kind of pull a fast one on your opponent, which is pretty cool. Also, he can't be blocked out by field control anymore because that got changed in the previous update. So yeah, he's definitely fun. I definitely could see him being in like a Cav skew kind of list.
Yeah.
But I still don't think he's going to be an auto include in any in lists by any means. But he's definitely a much more feasible option now.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Like the first option I thought about was Tully Cav, but I also think about Berserkers, bringing down a unit of Berserkers like an outflank. You know, when you get the horses in round 2, maybe. That can really change up how the battlefield will evolve and how your opponent competes with you, because he has to deal with Berserkers in the back, right? He needs to,
right?
Because otherwise it will be just gone. The unit, whatever it is, it will be gone. So yeah, could be fun. So to Eddard Stark, I really liked him for 6 points already, I think. Like, same with Corrin. I played him sometimes for 6 points. He was strong back then even, but now for 5 points, it's just crazy, right? So for Eddard Stark now, I think his ability, let's start with Price of Honor. Price of Honor could potentially shut down something like Corrin, right? So I need to, it could, right? It's risky, but it could at the exact right moment, or it basically gives you another round to hold off Corrin, which could be crucial too to win a game.
Yeah, you pretty much have to do it when you're first player though, because it's a start of turn effect, right? So they're going to pop Corrin at the start. They're going to pop Corrin almost 100% at the top of the round. Yeah. And if both of you have these start of any turn effects, the player who's first player is going to get precedence. So you're going to have to, if you're trying to knock out Corrin for one round, you're going to have to pop it on a round that you're first player.
Yeah.
Unless your opponent doesn't know what they're doing, but you can't assume that to be the case.
Yeah, so it could be a risky move. So hand orders is way more interesting. Especially when you think about like strong NCUs like Danny or Amon, shutting down Amon at the right moment can also be good against Night's Watch, or several examples. But now for 5 points, shutting down influences or NCU abilities at the right moment, I think now he's one of the better choices in the top. In the top 5 of the NCUs, where he, for 6 points, he wasn't in my books, right? In my book, 6 points was just too expensive, and especially when you give up 6 points for the NCU, you I think you would have gone for the other Eddard, for the healing Eddard, the Warden of the North, right? So that 100%. Would be the obvious choice, because it's way more, or you can use them way better, or use them way more in a battle than this guy. But now for 5 points, he's totally up there.
Yeah, and I actually played a game this weekend, and the other player had Edward, Hand of the King. It was my first Bolton game that I played, and he threw that on a unit. He kept throwing that influence on my unit that I was going to be trying to take the swords with, or heal. Like one of my units that was getting beat up really bad. He would throw it on my unit, so I couldn't heal them with the Wealth Zone. So yeah, I think it's definitely a very versatile NCU, and at 5 points, I could see him getting some play. Yeah,
me too. So that's so again, for me, those two NCU changes really mix up the way you build armies for Starks. Nothing more on that, I think. So let's jump to units, right? There were quite a few changes, but one of the most crucial ones for me was I don't want to say buff, but the changes on the bowman, because the bowman is for me was always like a good unit, or a good supporting unit in the back, especially because they're ignoring all this line of sight. You can just park him right behind a defensive unit and just dealing out damage. But this ability of shutting down abilities when they fail a panic test did not really happen, right? Obviously, they do not have vicious. It didn't really happen. So now with rolling a 1 and you become weakened, we all know how strong the weakened token is. Those guys will see, in my book at least, they will see more play. Definitely will see more play.
Yeah, and I mean, rolling a one on a armor save is a lot more reliably achieved than failing a panic test. And there's just so many mechanics that will help you auto pass panic tests, and panic or morale in general is getting like more elite along competitive lists. So I think rolling a one is much more easily
consistent.
achievable, especially it's a 1 in 6 shot, and if you've got a vulnerable token on that unit anyway, you've got a couple of chances. So I think it's a lot more achievable.
Exactly. And I was hoping for a buff for the bruisers actually, but this one was also really welcome for me. But you had some ideas on the bruisers too, right?
Yeah. So bruisers are still kind of lackluster, I think, but you could look at this Bowman change as a bit of a shadow buff to bruisers, because bruisers want to be fighting something with a weakened token. First off, they have a pretty bad armor save. What are they? 5? I think a 5+, right?
5 up. 5 up. Yeah.
5 up save. Up. So they're going to be taking most of the hits they're going to be taking a lot of wounds when they get hit. Yeah. And Counter-Strike is baked into their cost and is part of their identity. So if they're fighting something that the Bowman is shooting at, the Bowman may be giving that target weakened tokens. So then the bruisers can expend those weakened tokens when being attacked, and not only prevent themselves from getting killed, but then feed into their Counter-Strike engine. And let's say they're playing with Roger Commander, who has martial superiority. They can use that card also to get super Counter-Strike, and potentially do some pretty interesting things. So even units that don't get changed in patches, they're all affected by the changes that do happen. So a little change like that to the Bowman can have ramifications across the faction.
Exactly. Yeah, and spoiler, we will see that in future factions too. That they will like shadow buff, shadow nerf other things. We'll definitely see that in the future. And one of the most discussed changes, I think, was on the Tully Cavaliers. A lot of people liked them before with the old Embolden and morale on 6. So they were like technically they were on a 5 morale, and gave this morale bubble, which was good, right? Now with Rally Banner, they're healing 1 when they restore. When they pass the morale test, they restore a wound. So I think this is a good change to them. I really can't say if it's better. I think it's just different. It's a different play style now, I think. They're still great. It's still a great cav unit, especially with the STARKS deck, right? Which is pretty much focused on attacking and charging. So this is exactly what they want to do, right? So I think the change is good, but for me, the most important was when I saw the first time Rally Banner, I was thinking about the Winterfell Guardian, one of my most favorite minis, finally going into list building, because then you would potentially heal 2, which is kind of crazy.
It stacks with Dauntless.
By passing, exactly, it stacks with Dauntless, and that could be crazy, like on a morale 5, right? So that was my key takeaway on the Tully Cav.
Yeah, I mean, you can do some pretty fun, janky cav list crafting with this. I think. You can stack
two Tully Cav and
put
two
of them,
Winterfell
two of them,
Guardians,
and just send them in and put the Winterfell Guardians into them. And then you could shoot into combat with them with your Stark Bowman, and then when
heal them
Tully Cav
heal them up from the
pass,
back.
heal up. They'll heal up. You can throw other friendly units in. I mean, the problem Starks have is they have a lot of average morale. But you could, I mean, even the Blackfish attachment. What is he? I can't remember
which brings Stalwart.
Stalwart and Dauntless. Also, or he has Dauntless, so you can throw him into something and push him into the front line. So you can do some really fun, crazy stuff. I don't know if it's going to be the most competitive thing, but it just sounds like a lot of fun for me to just throw cav up the field and hopefully just heal up whatever damage they take and radiate out some healing to the units around you. It sounds like fun. I don't play Starks. I have a Stark box up here that has yet to be cracked open.
I was about to say, but there is a box. It's empty.
I'm kind of restraining myself from opening the box, but it is waiting in the wings for me to finish all the Baratheon stuff and all the other stuff that's off camera.
Gotta catch them all.
But it sounds like exciting list building opportunities for some Cav. Stark for sure.
Yeah, it reminded me of the old times with what is it, Rally Cry, right? Like having two Rally Cries healing back and forth all the time. This is kind of the same thing, or it could be potentially, especially with Bowman in the back. It can be kind of fun, or kind of frustrating for the opponent. But I have to try it too. I never tried it now, or like since the patch, I didn't try such kind of stuff. What I did try was the Rob Stark NCU, which is really cool. As you said, this buffed outflank is really, really cool now for 4 points. And you get Grey Wind on there, and you can choose a particular unit, take it off, and saying, I will put it right there where it should not be, for your opponent at least. And that's it can be really, really strong. I like, at least in the beer and pretzel sector, or like in the semi-competitive friendly matches, it can be really a fun thing to do and really makes your opponent think. So yeah, I really like it.
No, I like the mind game potential of putting two beefy cavalry units on either of your flanks, and then letting them just decide, kind of like in a penalty kick in soccer, which way the goalie is going to jump. Is he going to jump this way or that way?
Is he going to that flank or that?
You just put him on both flanks, and then wherever he puts his weakest units, you just pluck the unit off from one side and just go go ham on that weakened flank. So yeah.
Exactly. So let's jump to the last point, should we? The tactics deck. So 3 changes: North remembers, devastating impact, and winter is coming. So let's start with North remembers. What are your thoughts on North remembers? The quest card.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it's changed. So they've changed certain cards like this among other factions, and I think they can be looked at as kind of a side grade. Some folks will call them a nerf. Some folks will call them a buff. I think this is one of those kind of, it's not 100% clear cut one way or another, whether it's a nerf or a buff. I've never been the player of Starks, so I can't say how it would make me feel playing it. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think it's on the buff and nerf meter? Where do you think this one sits?
My first thought when I first saw it was that I really liked the prior version. I had a few games, like especially like in round 5, 6. I mean, where quest cards normally trigger, it really changed. This like auto 6 on charges can be really, really rough, because normally I put it on Tully Cav, which is a natural target for a North remembers. So in the end game, that sometimes it really saved my butt in the end game to have this. Now with this new one, like highest attack value always. Since like in S3, S2, you only had Catelyn doing this to you. Now you have even 2 cards in your deck, which makes you do it. And we all know how Starks benefit from having the highest attack value, even though they might not be at the highest attack level, on rank 1 or 2. So I think
especially
it's a good change. I consider it a buff. So even though I still like the freedom of like, I auto charge 12 or whatever, or 11 on whatever. So for me, it gave pretty much a whole lot before the patch. Now it also does. It's not for me. It's really in between. But like all in all, I would say it's a buff. the Stark deck, and it makes use again of the swords, which has always been the case, which is also good. But more interesting for me is Devastating Impact and Winter is Coming. As we all know, the trigger changed, so you won't have this feel bad moment of like rolling and there's the one, and you just need to throw away one of those charge cards. So that's gone, and that's a common theme we saw about saw on the S3 changes, that those feel bad moments out of the tactics deck, like kind of faction overall, then reduce that and buff the commanders. So that's what we saw in S3, and yeah, with that, and you can even stack it now, right? Before that, you had to choose one of the two, and now you can even stack them and don't have the risk of failing it. For me, that's the biggest change in the Stark update.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It makes the deck considerably better.
Yeah, I love these two changes, the changes to these two cards, and the similar ones that they've done to other cards that we'll talk about later in other faction videos. But yeah, there's no longer that feels bad of thinking you're going to do this really great charge. You throw this card down, and then you roll a 1, and not only did you fail your charge or have a disorderly, but now you also just wasted one of your high impact cards.
Yeah.
So now they've removed that, which is awesome. 100% buff. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and both on the horses too, right? When I said stacking, when you have the horses, those cards get even better, right? So both benefiting from horses, stackable. Yeah. So I heard a lot of Stark players complaining about their tactics deck compared to other stuff like Baratheon, Martells, especially Night's Watch, right? So this one brings it a little bit closer to playing the same league as those tactics decks, right? You as a Targaryen player can relate, right? So
yeah,
so
we have both devastating impact in Marcelin, and then Fire and Blood in the base tactics deck that got a similar change. Yeah.
So for me, biggest change, and makes the tactics deck way better. So yeah, and this is for all the changes we talked about, or where we felt this is these are the most crucial changes. I would all encourage you, if you have other changes or you're seeing something which we didn't see, just put it down in the comment below, and we will definitely cover that in later videos, or shout out to the videos, or give some answers, or write it down in the comments. But this was it for us, like in a really condensed, concise way. What have you now in your hands to build armies? And
all right, so this that brings us to the end of this first video, and we hope this helped folks to just kind of get a snapshot of the most important changes to the Starks from Season 3, and give you some kind of list building and tactics ideas. And the next video on the Lannisters is going to be on my channel, Imperial Minis, and so look out for that. And we're going to be kind of cross-posting these videos. So, in my channel, I'll have that video on my channel, and then I'll send folks that are watching that to make sure to check Hits and Crits channel, and then vice versa. We'll
bouncing
be
back and forth.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
on the Mighty Lannisters, right? On the Mighty Lannisters, which
Mighty Lannisters who are skyrocketing up the charts, up the meta charts.
Exactly, and they got so much love in the Season 2 and Season 3 update. One of the I think that was in everyone's mind. I think giving Pycelle another vulnerable option, even
the unplayed Pycelle that nobody was
exactly the unplayed Pycelle who. But you have that across every faction. Every faction had that. But that was one of the key moments in the live stream where it was like, okay, that's not really needed. I know Cold Hands wasn't needed either. Before I get all the rage, but Pycelle was really. But let's not spoiler it for next time. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So Randall, it was really a pleasure to do that with you. I can't wait to do the next one. Again, folks, if you have any questions, comments, feedback down below, whatever you want to say, just put it on the comments. We will make sure to answer it. Randall and myself will be there answering it. And yeah, that ends the video. And
yeah, until next time.
Yeah, roll those crits.
Come for the hits and stay for the crits.